Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2. How are you doing? Glad you guys are back. Can you hear and see me okay? You can unmute yourself and let me know if you can hear me. That will be helpful.
Hi, this is Tamaria. I can hear you. Hello.
Awesome. Glad you're here. Good to see you again. Well, we are going to start so I can respect your time, get through our discussion, and leave some time. As you're aware, this will only take a little over an hour. And I'm glad that you are back for day 2, where we're going to have a discussion about how to eliminate the conflict. Today, we will take a deeper understanding into those colors that we shared. I'm going to do a quick recap. And as we get others into the room, I'm going to go past some of the training slides because I have that Zoom slide in there to help those individuals, but because you guys are already aware of it, I'm going to move past that a few moments. So give me a second to work my way through some of the slides on the screen. And then come back in. Now, for the sake of those that are on YouTube, I'm going to share my screen, do my introduction, because those that are here on Zoom are already aware of who I am. But if you are just getting a chance to meet me, then this is the opportunity to know a little more about me. I'm Tanya Ehud, a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, it simply means I've worn a lot of different hats in my life that have helped me develop a full range of strategies and actionable steps that I've used to help my clients make a strategic impact, both personally and professionally, to have better than what life has been giving them. This session that we're having on navigating life after divorce, this webinar is based on the life lessons from my premier book, Red Alert, Is He the One? The Pocket Guide to Finding the Love of Your Life. In this book, I share my story about how I reset my life after my divorce because I had to figure it out. And the strategies that I'm going to share with you today is part 2 of this 2-day webinar. So if you missed part 1, then you missed the opportunity to know more about your core strengths because those are the things I needed. And by taking the time to get to know that about myself, I opened myself up. Now, I have a new marriage with a phenomenal husband who knows how to work with my color sequence, my conflict stages. And if you're unfamiliar with those terms, then pay attention to what's coming up next. So we're going to cover the rest of how to eliminate conflict. You've already gone through the core strengths, and then I'm going to give you some insight into breaking through to your next level. So let me stop sharing the screen so I can take a look and welcome, because there's a few more people that are here. I'm glad you guys are back. Hey, Avis, good to see you again. I'm hoping yesterday was impactful for you guys. If you all would like to share a quick recap of what you know and what you remember, that will let me know if I need to go over a couple more colors or give a little more information, because knowing what we did yesterday is how we're going to maximize the use of the information I'm going to share with you today. Would anyone like to share? Okay. Well, hearing that, I'm going to say that you guys know what's going on, and we're going to just get the chance to maximize what we're doing today. So with that, let me share the screen and begin to walk through the discussion. Along the way, you're already aware. You can ask your questions along the way, but while I'm sharing the screen, I won't be able to see you or the chat box. So you'll have to unmute yourself so that I can hear you if there is a question. But you know that we're going to have time to have questions answered along the way. So let me share. And let's walk through the rest of this information. We are building a foundation by knowing more of who we are. That was part 1. Today, we're going to walk through the rest of eliminating conflict on a deeper level so you can gain some insight. And then we'll wrap it up with the breakthrough. How do we maximize that? The way you get through conflict, I shared earlier. So I'm going to do a quick recap for those that have not had the opportunity to see, and welcome you those are on YouTube. We are going to finish this discussion today about eliminating conflict. So setting the boundaries and standards is a key component. And we walk through when you're having a discussion about improving relationships, you recast the past. That simply means you gain new information that gives you another perspective about what took place. Then you're able to use that insight to form a better thought process moving forward in the future. And then there's mastering the moment, where you are aware in the here and now about what's going on. You can get a sense of how you're feeling to assess your conflict triggers before you enter into a space of conflict. And take some time as well to get to know others. As you gain more information and more thoughts about the colors and marrying them with the focus areas, then you'll be able to get the chance to gain some insight in the moment about other individuals around you. And last, there's co-create the future. In co-creating the future, you are using your skill set that you want to enhance. You know your strengths, and you identified someone else who has a strength in a different area that you would like to grow in. I shared yesterday about the story where my blue-green needed to enhance my red. So I found someone that was really deep red to help them get some insight from them about how to pull up my red color. By doing so, I was able to give myself some promotions and become more of a hub instead of just blue-green. Now, for those of you that are on YouTube that are just getting a chance to see this for the first time and you are wondering, well, what is she discussing with all those colors? Well, that's what we talked about yesterday. So let's go through that real quick. When things are going well and when things are in conflict are the two conditions that we enter in. And the color that I just shared is a focus area. A focus on blue gives you an insight about people when things are going well. But if you enter into conflict, your normal supportive, helpful nature can become accommodating and not give you the best possible position to get to your next level. And then the color red, when things are going well, is a focus on performance. The natural leader that you are, the person that wants to operate in excellence, shows up in that environment. But when you enter into conflict, that strength is not really seen and it becomes assertive and sometimes aggressive. And then there's green, where when things are going well, there's a focus on process. These are those individuals that are structured and logical, and they bring to the table that information. But when they go into conflict, they become more analytical, which is where you can often hear the term analysis by paralysis, because they got stuck. Well, today we're going to walk through more of what happens when you enter into your conflict sequence. So let's talk about that. There are 3 stages of conflict, and this is the information that I wanted to really walk through today. I'm only going to be able to give highlighted information on stage 1. The rest of this information I share inside of my course, Navigating Life After Divorce. It's a 5-week session that goes deeper and gives you a unique assessment so that you know your core strengths, your personalized conflict sequence, and more insight about what this means. So I'm going to talk to each of the stages here, but I'm going to give more detailed information about stage 1 as we go through this discussion. So with stage 1, that is where you are filtering the information around you so that you can solve the situation as best as you can. But that filter helps you focus and can sometimes put you in a position where you're not open enough to receive other information that you may when things are going well. But your focus is trying to solve the problem, make certain that everybody else is okay, and that you are all right as well. If you're a blue person, this is where you start accommodating others. You do that because in your natural strength, you want to help. And in your way of helping when you enter into conflict is to give others the support that they need. That can be a good strength. But if it's overdone, then your accommodating nature will put you in a position where you're feeling like you're losing out, you're not being supported yourself, and it can cause you to dive deeper into the other conflict stages. So if you enter into a blue stage 2, you're no longer trying to make certain that everybody else is okay because you recognize that some part of you got lost in the process. But you know that you want to get the problem resolved. So you surrender conditionally. You slowly give in to some elements of the problem because you're recognizing that there's maybe some things you're just not yet equipped to do. So you let some things that you know just isn't right. And if everything was going well for you in your world, that would not be the case. But because you are still trying to get yourself to a position of being whole, you surrender conditionally. But if it doesn't work out, then you go deeper. You get more focused because you're trying to conserve your energy. You're trying to get yourself to your best possible position, but you're struggling. This is where you often find a person who is blue in stage 3 that feels self-defeated. This is that space where a lot of individuals that are blue go into a deep depression. And it takes a lot for them to get out because they're not thinking about how to expand their thought process or know how to effectively communicate their needs so that they can move out of the stages and get themselves leveled back up to a place where there's no more conflict or opposition that they are struggling with. Now, I've stated the word conflict a couple of times, and for those of you that are just joining us on YouTube, I gave this insight about conflict. When people discuss conflict, they often make it synonymous with differences of opinion. Those are two different things. You can have a difference of opinion without being disagreeable and not enter into conflict. Conflict occurs when your self-worth feels like it's being challenged. It's where your motives and values, that thing that drives your behavior, that gives you insight into your core strengths, is being challenged, and you want to ensure that who you are at the core of your being is being heard and felt. So you enter into conflict. That's where these colors come in, and that's where the various stages give you a deeper focus. Now, for that person that is red, when you're in stage 1 conflict, you rise to the challenge. That assertive nature that you present is to take leadership over the problem, to give insight and guidance to those that are around you, and to make certain that you're okay as well, because your strength shows up to want to operate in excellence, meet the goal, and help everybody get to their best position. But if you aren't able to do that and you reach stage 2, then you are fighting for the opportunity to win. You are then pushing what you believe should be correct, no longer taking anybody else into consideration. And by doing so, you could be making the situation worse. And if it gets worse and you drop down into stage 3, then you are fighting for survival. At that point, you feel more challenged. At that point, you feel that the personal elements of yourself is not going to make it if you don't fight. So this is where there's a lot more screaming and a lot of hollering, a lot of disagreements, and fights often break out. Unfortunately, it breaks my heart as an individual that understands this when I see the chaos that surrounds us in the world, because I can almost tell what their color sequence is and what stage they're sitting in. And I want to help them through that process. So today, I thank those of you that are joining, that are looking, that are paying attention. And you can use this information to help bridge the gap, to give a little more insight to others that may help them get out of conflict quickly. Now, let's talk about green. For those individuals that are green, when you enter into stage 1 conflict, you're cautious. And because you're already analytical, you become more analytical. You start gathering more data to get more insight. This may be the place for those in a professional setting where you start asking a lot of questions. And even from a personal setting, this is where you want to know why. Why are you doing this? Why is the situation happening? You want to gain the data because if you get enough information, you feel you can come to a resolution and get out of conflict. But if you're not able to help others or gain insight on what's occurring, then you'll go into stage 2 and you'll just try to solve the problem on your own. So you'll withdraw into yourself a little more. At this point, those that are green may become quiet. Their silence doesn't mean that they're completely checked out, but it does mean that they are putting the brakes on a little bit more, and they may stand a little bit deeper into what they feel is the probable solution because they have been focusing on a problem. And oftentimes they can give you a step out of a situation. So if you find yourself in an environment where you recognize the colors and you can see that there's a person that is in stage 2 green or stage 1 sometimes goes into silence, ask them what they're thinking because they may be an individual that can kickstart, change the trajectory, and give a different viewpoint of the situation that can get you out of conflict. But if that doesn't work and they reach stage 3, then they will completely check out. These are those individuals that are no longer really effective. If you ask them a question, they leave it up to you to figure it out. Even if they have a solution that could get you whole, they'll hold it to themselves because they have been at that point so deep into analysis without a clear way of sharing it because when they tried to share, it wasn't received well and they no longer knew what to do. So I'm going to pause here because I have shared a lot of information. And we've also had several other people come in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's good to see you. I'm pausing because we've gone over a little bit of information and I want to see what I shared. Did you guys understand it? Do you want me to touch base a little bit more on the stages? Because when I go back into the presentation, what I'm going to do is give the stage 1 discussion points to give you a little more understanding of how to communicate more effectively to get out of conflict quickly. Anyone want to share? And turn your cameras on, those of you that are here so that we can see. Glad that you are back. It is good to see you again, but I want to see your beautiful faces. Would anyone like to share? You guys are quiet today. I need interaction, so please don't just let me be here by myself talking the whole time.
Good evening, everyone. This is Katrina.
Hey.
Hey, I love the colors, the sunshine.
Thank you. I want to be bright for you all. It's a little dark here.
So today at the workplace, I saw my former supervisor that always gave me a hard time. I tell you, deliverance is good. So she walked past me. So I was like, "Hi, Laura, how are you?" And she looked like, "What?" So she's so used to ignoring me and me ignoring her. And when I spoke to her, she was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah. It was so freeing, I tell you.
Because you interrupted the pattern. I am so proud of you. That is a key way to quickly eliminate conflict. Now, what she's going to do is start paying a little more attention to you to see if was it a fluke, maybe something was happening. There is a holiday weekend.
That is true. But you know, I had to realize that it's not even about me. And I had to come out of my feelings, and just like, girl, bye. How you doing? And life is just too short for all that unnecessary drama. Not too precious, I should say. Life is too precious for all that unnecessary stuff. And I think a couple weeks ago, one of my coworkers walked past. We had walked past each other all day long, and neither one of us said anything. So, and God, the Holy Spirit got on me. And he's like, you don't do stuff like that. So I went to her the next morning. That's why I said, "Good morning." I said, "We both walked past each other all day yesterday, didn't say hello or anything." I said, "We're not doing that today." I said, "Good morning. How are you today?" And she looked at me. She was like, "Good morning." I said, she's like, "I like your hair." I said, "I like yours too." I said, we're not doing that again. Yeah, we're just not. It's not. So I
That is
just get it.
awesome. Your blue showed up today, Katrina. That is how you interrupt your pattern. So here's the thing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those other stages, because what you are preparing now is a new foundation. And that will help you move through a trajectory where you can be heard more when you enter into conflict, because people are getting a different view. And then when you go there, tap back into your blue, because that is how you make that change with the red. I am so proud of you. And I'm so glad you're using the tools.
Thank you.
Welcome, Anne. Glad that you are here. This is the opportunity to catch up a little bit, because I'm going
Yes,
to go
thanks.
through some of the things. Share your
Mhm.
screen so I can see your beautiful
Oh,
face.
let me try to do that. My lights are actually off where I am, but I'm going to turn them on. Okay. Hello. Hi.
Hello. Good to
Hello.
see you. Glad you joined us.
Likewise. Yes, thank you.
So I want to let you know that we're going to be wrapping up a few things that we discussed yesterday, but you can catch the replay on YouTube, because the people on YouTube now are watching. And you can go there to my YouTube channel, Tanya E. Hood, to get the chance to see what we discussed yesterday, so you can connect the dots with what the rest of the stuff we're going to share today.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Thank you.
right. And so with that, are there any other comments, questions, or thoughts anyone would like to share before we move back into the discussion? Okay. Well, hearing none, let's go in and share what happens next. All right. So when you walk through the various stages, there are ways that you can identify individuals a little bit more. So you know that blue, when things are going well, operates in being people-oriented. Their motive is to be harmonious and be a support system, be the person that's helpful and kind and considerate. But in conflict stage 1, that changes a little bit, because their accommodating natures trying their best to get them back to be in that harmonious state. But sometimes they can overdo it. So you may hear them in stage 1 and support them to get out of it quickly, so that they can be the support system, because you want people whole in your environment. That way they can contribute both personally and professionally to making things a better situation. So if they start saying, "Oh, I'm fine," or "No problem, it's probably me," they're hoping that other people will solve the problem. And you can help them by letting them know it's going to be okay. Affirm the relationship with them. Let them know that I hear that right now you may be looking at the situation this way, but if we look at it like this, that way you can continue to support what's happening, and then we can move into a better position. And when you speak to them, you must make certain that you use a calming voice. Think about blue being the calm, still waters. When you are calm, it taps into their blue to bring out their peace, because a lot of individuals whose focus area is on people have a calming spirit that they bring with them, like Katrina just shared with us, that "how are you doing?" That welcoming peace that they have. So be gentle, non-confrontational, and calm. And if they ask for some time, respect their space. They'll come back, because those that are blue have a tendency to return a little faster than others, because they want to connect. They want to make sure that they still make certain that everyone else knows, I will be here to support you. But if they need a moment to get it together, give it to them. If they especially have another color blend, because for me, being a blue-green, the green in me needs time to process. The blue in me wants to connect. But when I'm in conflict, my stage 1 forces me to pause, and I need to take a break. And if my blue doesn't kick in fast enough, and when it does, in order for me to feel like I can help you, I don't know how, so I'm just there, and I need a moment. So this may be that person that you may witness. Now, let's move on to the next one. For those that are red, whose focus area is on performance. They want to make certain that they lead. They want to make certain that they get to the goal. So in their stage one, their assertive nature has them rise to the challenge to solve the problem quickly. They want to still lead those that are around them to help you get to your best possible solution. And they give clues. Some may say, we need a solution now, because they're trying to get there quickly, or you understand, and constantly try to validate, do you understand what they're saying? They may or may not hear you acknowledge, and they're not really looking for your acknowledgement when they're in conflict. They want to just get it done. So they may just give you clues. This is our number one priority. Can we just get back to the situation? Or we don't have time to keep having this part of the discussion. We're getting too far away from our goal. Those are the things that you may hear. And if you do, listen to them, because they got to get it out. They cannot hear you until they finish getting out the thought process that's in their head. And when you speak to them directly. Give an honest assertion of what's happening in the situation so that they are aware that there is someone other than them that can give a quick solution and get the problem solved. And be confident. Think about this like Animal Kingdom, because this is how I kind of learned a little bit. My grandmother told me that nature gives you clues if you have no idea about how to deal with some basic things. And when people get angry, they get basic. That helped me, because when watching Animal Kingdom, if you see two lions, those are the kings of the jungle. They roar to let you know that they are present. When lions roar, it is not because they are ready to attack. It's because they are in a position to truly conquer. Either they have killed their prey, or they're letting others know, I will do it if you come too close. So if you get two reds in an environment that are struggling, they are asserting themselves. So you got to be confident so they know, oh, there's another leader present. Discuss your viewpoint quickly so that they're clear that you are able to take ownership of the problem to come to a relevant solution. But be prepared to exchange views, because they're going to challenge you to see if you're really up to par to handle the moment. And if you don't show enough confidence, they may overcome you again. If they walk into a deeper stage and it's not resolved, we kind of discussed that. But that's where I give you more ways of communicating, more words so you can use when you join the course. Now, let's move on to the next color. For green, when things are going well, this natural, logical, analytical mind is organizing, structuring, and processing things for you. But in conflict, they go a little bit far with their analysis, because they're reassessing all the previous data that they've already analyzed, taking a look at the current situation, trying to obtain new information to add to what they're aware of. They're just trying to seek a rational explanation, because chaos in their mind must be solved with order. But what often happens, and this is where I had to learn, when you are entering into emotional behavior, all the analysis in the world will not prohibit that chaos from coming up, because emotions are illogical. And so a bright, brilliant mind that walks into a situation here where they are entering into conflict, trying to give a solution, know it is probably the best solution, and it is not heard. They start giving some discussions like, we need more time to talk about this. Or just to be clear about this, trying to give you some more insight. And if they are trying to still gain more knowledge, they'll ask, can you give me an example? When you hear these things, address it. The faster you're able to address it, the faster they'll receive the insight that they need that will help them come out of stage one quickly. Listen to their key points and validate what you've heard. You do not always have to acknowledge that there's an answer, but just say, what I hear you saying is this, that, or the other. That way they know you heard them, and they'll be less likely to repeat themselves, because some individuals in stage 3 may feel that you have not quite understood. So they'll rehash the same discussion in a different format to see if I change the box a little to the left. Will you understand what I'm saying? You didn't? Let's see if I rephrase this another way. You do not want to go down the path where you are constantly walking into rephrase, 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 because the green can't get out of analysis mode. Now, we walked through what those stage ones look like. Let's have a conversation about your experiences so I can give you a personalized view about what words you can use so that you can maximize this tool for yourself. Anyone have any comments, questions, or thoughts about what was shared, or something that you would like to have as a discussion point so that we can move deeper into this insight? Unmute yourself so I can see and share.
For me, once I come outside my blue into the red, my voice is, I get loud, get irritated, get defensive and stuff. And I don't want to be that way. And when I realize what's going on, I do reel myself back in, but I need to get to a place where none of that occurs. I don't want to be this ugly person because it's, I just really feel like I'm defending myself and I don't like it. That bothers me.
I understand that. This is where you have to know your conflict triggers. There are moments where we have micro abrasions that trigger us, and you have to be aware of what that looks like. There are certain things that happen in your past, and this is where you will have to do an autopsy of your past behavior. I did an autopsy on my divorce, so I'll share this. And some of this I've written inside of my book. So for those of you that have chapter 1, this conversation may sound a little familiar because when I was going through the issue of dating, I was raised in a household full of strong women that made me believe that men were not needed. As a result, when I walked into an environment where my then getting married at 21-year-old self with another 21-year-old that decided because he had more red in him that he was going to run the house, that did not make sense to me. That triggered elements in me, not so much because I walked through a personal experience with someone like that, but because I've always seen the women in my family stand in the gap to be the leaders. And because I'd never really seen a man stand up, because the only men that really stood up were those that were aggressive and abusive. And I was conditioned to look for that. And if a man wants to stand up too much, then there must be aggression and abuse that's coming. So I got triggered. And with me getting triggered, it caused chaos to show up in our relationship. So what I had to recognize was, where is this coming from? So when you look at what's happening in your world, you're going to have to analyze, what did I do? What was the past behaviors? Because in the aftermath of my divorce, when I did the autopsy, it had nothing to do with my ex-husband. Those moments were me. All he did was highlight the pain. And then the other part for me that was an issue was my beautiful dark skin. In my family, they're what my grandmother called the blue, black, beautiful. They're so beautiful and dark. Well, I was not dark enough to be blue, black, beautiful. And then I was in the other spectrum where there were other people in my family that was what was called light bright. I was not light enough. I was not dark enough. I'm this little middle in between caramel. And I got teased a lot for that. And then it seemed to me when I was younger that my color became a challenge because those that were lighter than me didn't seem to think that I was smart enough. And those that were darker than me felt that I was trying too hard. So just me being me was never good enough. And when my ex-husband started calling out some past thoughts, well, you always want to do too much, that was a trigger. So I went red because that was my stage 2. And it was not pretty because I had to fight because my moral value at that point was being challenged again. So what you're saying to me is I'm not good enough. And all he was saying was, I later learned, because I couldn't have the conversation then. But I later learned that he was just trying to let me know that we don't have to come up with the full plan, because he saw my stage 1 analysis where I was going a little deeper. It was helpful later, but I could have come out of that a little bit sooner, which would have given him a little more insight, because his stage 1 was trying to receive some information as well. And I couldn't give it because I was still analyzing. So my triggers that he gave as a microabrasion caused me to blow up. You need to know what happened in your past that made you believe somewhere along the way you don't have a voice, because you're fighting for it when you yell. You're fighting to be seen when you stand up. When people start moving in or getting close in some regards like that, they give you a small clue into what their needs are. People that scream need to be heard. People that move towards you need to be seen. So when you witness those things in conflict, that gives you an idea and what you can say to an individual. And right now, I'm just giving you what it is of someone else, but for yourself, do the work and give yourself validating words. One tool, and let me share this for those that are watching. If you find yourself in a position where you feel that your self-worth is being challenged, take some time to validate you. The more you know and validate who you are, that's where your confidence sits. Because I am clear that being logical and analytical are not issues, even though most of my life, a lot of people tried to make me believe that. The place where I want to deal with facts, where I know that I have gone through and structured, and this is the information that I know, and you try to make me believe otherwise, or put me in a position to make me think that I'm crazy because of the factual information that I'm sharing, that was a trigger. But I had to tell myself, you know the information. And Brenda and I, we had a quick conversation, because that's my fellow green. Hi, Brenda. When we get to our stage 1 green and we know that we know, we're going to sit in it, because we are clear. I understand the facts. You may not be knowledgeable. I will share it with you when you're ready, but I don't have to throw all, and this is the thing that I learned, is a principle. Throw your pearls to swine. My grandmother told me that, and what she meant was, when you have great knowledge, great insight, and somebody doesn't want to receive it, you don't have to give it away. When they really need it, people go and do what they really want to do. You don't have to chase people down to give them information that they need. When they are ready, they will show up. When they want a different viewpoint, or get, like my grandmother say, done knocking your head against the wall, then you will be prepared. And when you witness the calm in them, the receptivity of what they are looking for, then you can give your pearls. Then you can share your knowledge. That way, you won't keep going any deeper into the stages trying to conserve your energy and letting your filters dim you down while others are trying to do whatever. So I'm hoping that that insight helps you as you go into more of what's occurring, because your confidence comes out when you know, and you're not easily bothered by individuals when they decide to come up against it. Does that help?
Tremendously, thank you.
Awesome.
I'm going to do my letter. I'm going to do it Saturday. So I want to make sure that I have enough uninterrupted time to do my letter. Yeah, thank you.
You are so welcome. So is there anyone else that has a unique or individualized situation you would like to discuss before we go into part 3? You can take yourself off mute. No other conversations? Are there any other terms or means of communication does anyone else need while we're having a discussion?
Can I share something?
Sure.
So today I was at the workplace, and I was talking to one of my colleagues, and I'm not sure how we ended up telling her that my son, I have two sons, one is 31 and one is 28, and my oldest boy is addicted to OxyContin. he told me on New Year's Day that he's addicted, and it just messed me up. But anyway, she told me that I knew her stepdaughter passed, but I didn't know that she passed from an overdose. And that was, I think it was, I'm not sure when it was actually. Either it was this year or last year. But anyway, so we were talking and everything, and she was encouraging me, this, that, and the other. Come to find out, her stepdaughter was one of my patients years ago. I had no idea. I said, what is her name? And she told me, I said, what's her last name? I said, I took care of her years ago. And she was crying and everything, and I consoled her. But she was grateful that, she know who I am, and I had the opportunity to take care of her. And she was just like, thank you so much for your service. And, that's not something that I really share with people, because my family don't even know, because my son asked me not to tell nobody. But sharing it helped her and it helped me. So even though I don't talk about it, and today I felt comfortable telling her, but it really helped her and it helped me. Yeah.
This goes back to part of what I was saying yesterday. It's in relationship that we grow and we heal. And by you opening up, it let her know that she's not by herself. Most of the time, some of the parts that conflict reflects are people just trying to be in connection and trying to make certain that by connecting, they are also received. So when you know your strengths, you'll be able to tap into some things, recognize some other elements in other individuals so that you can find a better connection. Because like I shared yesterday, relationship is not optional. It is critical that we operate and function in relationship. Tamaria, I think I saw you come off mute for a second. Did you want to share something before we go into the slides again?
I did. I just wanted to kind of ask, because I have a kind of unique situation at work. I don't know how to deal with it. My team, the team that I work with, everyone is kind of in their own spaces. So I'm a corporate trainer, then there's support, then there's sales, and everybody's kind of to themselves. And I ask a lot of questions because I want to get stuff done. I want to do it right. And I ask a lot of questions, and my sales director is and he warned me when he hired me. He's like, there are days that I'm going to be moody, but it has nothing to do with you. And it's irritating me because there are lots of questions I have. I've learned a lot because I had to dig in and find out what I needed to find out. The doctor that I work for, because I train medical providers. And so the doctor, he's very avoidant. So if I ask him a question, he doesn't answer at all. And then my sales director is very avoidant. So I'm just curious as to what can I do, being that red, blue, and more of my red is coming out than the blue, because I tried the blue and the blue doesn't work. So I went to the red. So I'd like to know, what do you do in those cases?
You're dealing with people that are green. So when you're dealing with someone who is green, they may not know exactly what to share. You're also, because a lot of doctors are red-green as a core value. So their strengths are sitting in the middle of the red-green. Their red makes them go because they have to move quickly to get various things, to get through all the patients that they have to see. Their green makes them technical enough to have insight about the knowledge that they have to bring to the table. But that also means that when they're in conflict, they may have their stage 1 be green. So for a person that is green, you have to give them the information ahead of time. So if there's a way that you can compile your questions in an email, or however you can easily give it to them, lay it on their desk, at times, and you will have to try to gauge their timing when they'll be in their office or whatever, or let them know, hey, there's a few things that I want to talk to you about. Here's a list. I'll get back with you and give a time period. That way you're speaking to their red and their green. You're speaking to their red by not having them feel like they're feeling bothered right now. You're being clear and crisp with the need and the goal. And by giving a time frame, they can prepare themselves for you, whatever that time is, to listen. Because then they would have read what you've given them, and then they would have been able to process and come up with some answers. Because those that are in stage 1 green need time to process. They can't just give an answer when a question is asked. Does that help you understand a little better?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, because I was blowing my top there because I didn't know what to do.
Different colors, just different color strengths. That's why yesterday was so important, because if you can gauge insight about the colors, it gives you a glimpse. This information is provided by a company called Core Strengths. I'm a certified organizational assessment coach with them, and I usually provide this information to corporate by giving them some knowledge about who they are working with, the strengths that are in their organization, so that when they enter into conflict, they can come out of it quickly. I wanted to make certain that I took the professional elements where I'm supporting others and pour it into some personal environments so that you guys can get some support as well, because conflict reigns with who we are, both personally and professionally. We just need to know how to communicate more effectively when we're walking through it. And so I share with you in the 5-week course more of what that looks like, because I have your assessment. And I take this time to share because I only do this twice a year. So at the end of this month, I'll be sharing the course, because it takes about 2 weeks for me to pull the information together for your unique perspective, so I can give you insight. There's homework that I give, of course, because you gotta get it, but I can go into deeper one-on-ones and then come back as a collective, as a group session for some of those when they're joined together, so that you can get more impact. It's like taking this small segmented time, because this is a small piece, and magnifying it for you to get more elements of your life prepared. And the other element that I walk into is what I'm going to share with you in part 3, to get to the opportunity to build a legacy, because you're clear about your strengths. You know how to navigate conflict quickly. And now you can maximize what you're doing to change the trajectory for yourself and those around you. So before I go into that, are there any other comments, questions, or thoughts? Okay, well, hearing none, let's go back into the presentation. All right, so let's have this discussion about part 3, because to get clarity about where you're going, you must write the vision. I encourage everyone to write down what you want your future to look like. Write down what your life currently looks like. In the chat, when I come back, I'm going to give you a link to a vision exercise that I usually share with my clients. That exercise is going to force you to take some time to think about you. We often, in this world of run around chaos and a lot of stuff that's happening, there's a lot of information that's being poured out, a lot of things that people feel they need to do. So we don't often get the chance to take the time that we would like to have. But you need to take some time. So when I give you the vision exercise, download the link, give yourself at least an hour to sit, because this may be the first time for some of you that you're actually taking a look at what's happening. That way, you can create stronger relationships by doing what we discussed earlier, recasting the past, because you have more information. Being able to master the moment, because you're present right then and there, so that you can co-create the future that you desire, and you'll know who you will have to tap into to help build your future legacy. Because if you don't take the time to do it, who else will? You need to have more clarity of who you are, because construction is messy. Taking the time to tear things apart in your life looks like a construction field, the chaos, the drama, the people coming in and out, all the stuff that's happening, but it is necessary because it is in this moment that you'll get the chance to create the blueprint that you need that will help you maximize what's happening next in your world, because you have to be intentional with making certain that you get what's needed to move forward. And I discuss more about this in chapter 5 of my book. And that book was birthed because I saw people walking through the hurdles that I had already crossed. And I did not want them to keep walking through, because if you don't get it, somebody is looking for you to make the pass. So if you're not able to get the pass, please mute yourself. If you're not able to get past your current moment and be intentional about knowing your strengths, then you are letting those that will come behind you down. And they needed me to get it right. So what I had to do, once I got more insight about my core strengths, it opened me up to get some other areas better so I can change some of the things that was happening in my world. Because after my divorce, I was in a 2-bedroom apartment with my 2 kids about to be homeless because I didn't have the money. I couldn't afford it. My 2-income household didn't know that the bills got separated, and I still was struggling with 1 income to cover it. So I had to learn some things and get to a better position, because if you are not able to manage your money, you will not be able to master the opportunity to create a firmer financial foundation. Because the single biggest difference between financial success and financial failure is how you manage it. And I had to get some clues on what to do. And that meant I had to ask some questions. So here are a few questions that I had to answer along the way to see how my foundation looked. You don't have to answer these questions to me, but you really need to pay attention to what it looks like for you. Because if you have debt and no way, no plan or idea on how to get rid of it, then you need to get some support. If you have not developed a budget or have a debt payoff tool that will make you strategic in how to apply the finances that you currently have to build a way of accelerating to clear up your debt, then you need to have someone walk you through it. If you do not yet know how you're going to protect your assets, your car, your home, your investments and savings, then you need to take the time to get someone to help you. And if you know that you have someone that you need to care for, you have to put some measures in place to ensure that that happens. And that tool is often a will, a trust, and a power of attorney so that you can protect your assets and your loved ones. And as far as the power of attorney goes, you must have both elements, because there's 2, a financial power of attorney and a medical power of attorney. Now, a lot of people often hear about the medical power of attorney because they know that a doctor may ask them, well, who will be able to have this information? So you think about that. But if you're in a hospital and nobody has a financial power of attorney to help make certain that the bills get paid, the money can be there. But if it can't be accessed, it's the same as not having it. And that's why, unfortunately, a lot of people need to gain insight because they didn't learn about money in various places. Didn't get it in school. Lots of times you didn't get it at home to a greater degree. So some have turned to books. And then others need to do some of a combination, because I had to go back to learn some stuff about money from school, enhance the knowledge that I had from books by paying coaches, mentors, and working with other individuals. Because my grandmother, being an entrepreneur, did the best she could, but she can only give me the pieces that she had. And that meant I would max out at her financial level. If I ever intended to move to a better financial level, I had to do things different. I had to gain some information that was different, because what you don't know can hurt you. There are over $1 trillion worth of debt that Americans are drowning in, and 56% of the people don't have a rainy day fund. $500 for a lot of households knock them onto complete financial devastation. And for some houses, it's less than that, because in my house, it was a difference of $300. I did not have $300 in the bank to help me through the process. And so I ended up being in a position, unfortunately, like some baby boomers that had to retire or be put in a position where they were kicked out because their Knowledge was not as respected as they got older. So they have less than $10,000 saved in retirement with inflation that's coming and an income that when you retire shrinks for some to less than half. Imagine that. Half of your annual salary is what you must live on for the entire year. That financial devastation, if you are not preparing for now, can often break you. And millennials are trying to keep up with their friends. 40% of them keep it a secret that they don't have the finances to be able to hang out every night and go and get food. And some are borrowing money from their parents or friends or over leveraging their credit, which is causing them financial pitfalls. Let's not walk down that position, because we don't need to be a part of the 43 millions of Americans that have a credit score of less than 599. A score like that will not get you access to a car, the ability to rent an apartment, purchase a home. And for a lot of individuals, because jobs are looking at your credit score to make a determining factor about who you are, because your credit report talks about you. You may not have been mindful of it. So I share this information with individuals in the course, Navigating Life After Divorce. That 5-week session gives you a deeper dive into what's happening along the way, because the cost of bad credit, people don't pay enough attention to. And if you aren't able to join immediately into the course that I offer, you can meet me on Clubhouse if you have that voice app. I am available in the Winning in Wealth Club, a club that is structured to support individuals win in wealth by giving you some endpoint that supports you both personally and professionally to have better than what life has been giving you. And on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I give some insights about credit, what it's saying to you, how do you calculate it, various things that support you moving into your next trajectory. And one of those things is giving you a plan. A lot of people don't like to use the word budget, but a budget is simply a tool that gives you some insight. So you can use a budget to give you input to maximize your flow about where your money is going. Because when you can track your money in preset categories, it makes it easy for you to be able to know how to assign a task to every dollar. I tell my children a lot, money likes to run away. So you need to give it an assignment. And if it has the assignment when it goes to help you grow, then you are doing well. But if you're not sure what's happening with your money, a budget gives you a window, and it's a plan that you can use to help you get to your next process. Now, earlier I spoke about having some things in place to protect your assets and your loved ones. Having your last will, which expresses your desires on how you want your money handled. If you're a person that has, a business as a side hustle, what happens to your business? Is it structured so that your family knows what to do if something happens to you? We have to prepare for death because it's the only thing that we know is actually coming. We don't like to talk about it. It sounds grim, but let me share this with you. When you are being a responsible human being, preparing what your last will looks like, giving some plan and having things in place so that those that are behind you can be in a better position so that they don't have to grieve and figure it out. So they don't have to try to mourn or know what to do and not know where every document is that can best support them handling what's left behind. This is where you can have things in place now by preparing a living trust. It avoids the cost of probate. It also helps you distribute your income over time. So if you have amassed a large amount of funds, you can ensure that those that are coming behind you for generations can have things in place. There's a reason you hear the term trust fund baby. Somebody set that trust up for that baby when they came along later. You can do it too. It does not have to have somebody that is mega rich, but you do need some vehicles that are in place. One of those vehicles is the power of attorney. Having a financial power of attorney designates someone to manage your financial business affairs. Having a healthcare power of attorney ensures that there's someone that can make decisions about your medical treatment. And when you take the time to plan it early, you can put that information inside of a living trust so that it can be managed. There's a program that I offer and support individuals with called the Protection Plan. In this membership, you get a one-time setup fee that gives you a portal so that you can see what is happening in the background, because there are attorneys that support you with developing the information that you need to leverage your Fair Credit Reporting Act rights to help clean up and restore your credit, rebuild what is necessary. And there's also a budgeting tool, a debt payoff tool, credit monitoring, credit savings, insight about your net worth. All of these things are available for a low monthly payment of $89. So when you put this together, these things are able for you to tap into to support, and you have a team of people that will help you through the process. So for less than $3 a day, you will be able to take control of your financial future. This will give you the opportunity to make strategic moves in your life. When you write down what is necessary, plan it appropriately, you can excel to achieve the desired goal that you want to move you into your next trajectory. And so with that, let's take a few moments and have a discussion about what I've just shared and any of the other information that we've already discussed. Any comments, questions, or thoughts? Please unmute yourselves.
You know, I always got something to say.
And I appreciate it.
Back in 2016, I had my identity store, and somebody opened a credit card in my name and tried to open another one in my name. And it was what Bank of America was one of the banks where they actually opened the credit card in my name. And God is so good, because I found out because the bank was sent me an email, let me know that my credit card was on its way. And I was like, what? And the credit card was going to a car dealership, because I wrote the address down and went to the address to see what it was. And it was a car dealership. And then the other credit card, they wasn't allowed to open that one, because I've been in my house for a long time. So the address didn't match my credit report. So they sent me a letter to let me know that someone tried to open an account in my name. But the only good thing is the good thing is that I caught it. So they, I don't know if the credit card actually got to this car dealership, but they deactivated the card and everything. So if it did get there, they couldn't use it. And now if any type of credit or anything, that they have to call me to get confirmation that it was me. But it was a darn mess. I was so upset.
That unfortunately happens a lot. And in a part of this program, because we help people get their credit score restored, getting you to the place where we now get your credit restored, you're starting building a better credit score, we want to protect you. So there's identity protection as a part of the plan, and it's 12 different services. So for those of you, I'm gonna put the link in the chat box to let you be able to access a quick summary of what I just shared, see the other different products that's available, because having one thing that I use a lot, and I'm glad about it because I'm also a client. I'm an agent with the company that provides this service, United Wealth Education. But with that one, I am also a client. And when they put this in place for me, one of the tools that you receive is called Smart Credit, where it gives you minute by minute, the exact moment that things are happening, an alert. When I was refinancing my house, because I forgot about it, it sort of sits in the background after a while. But when I was refinancing my house and the gentleman asked about what we needed to do, and he told me he was going to run a credit, I said, okay. But the system sent me an alert, and I had to select the button to say, yes, this is me. before anything happened, which is one of the ways that was protecting my identity. This company offers a separate tool as identity protection as well. So those things combined with all the other tools that we're providing will help you in the future and anyone else that is looking to get some things in place for financial protection. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm so glad that things didn't get too bad, but it happens a lot in this country. Anyone else has any comments, questions, or thoughts they'd like to share? So how was this information so far? Was today helpful to give you some insight about eliminating conflict?
I would like to know if you have like a worksheet or something with the different types of the blue, red, and green characteristics in people. So when people show up, I can recognize, who's showing up.
So that I provide with the assessment from the course because it's a deeper insight.
Okay.
But we are sharing this information on YouTube. So if you want to go to my YouTube channel, Tanya E. Hood, like, subscribe, and share. You can see some of the other past discussions that I've had as well.
Okay, thank you.
So share anyone about what your thoughts are. Miss Brenda, you're quiet today.
It's been a long day. Sorry. I went and helped somebody who had found a cat. Well, the cat found her. And she wanted me to come over and take a look at it. And that's why I was late, is because I was digging a hole in my garden for her to bury it. So it's just been a long day and I'm tired. I didn't sleep last night.
It's
So
okay. Well, I'm glad that you still came. I'm hoping that what you received over the last 2 days, you can use to support you. I love the green in you, and I want you to know that your strength is marvelous. Hone it, maximize it, use it, and don't let anyone else make you believe there's something wrong, okay?
okay. Thank you.
All right. Miss Avis, others, Miss Tamaria, if there's any other comments, questions, or thoughts, or anyone else that has joined, I know we had a few more. So let me know. If not, I'll begin wrapping this up because I've extended the time for extra conversation. But if there's nothing else that needs to be shared, I am glad that you were with me today. I thank you for taking your time to spend with me so I can pour into you something that I knew I needed at one point in my life. And if you need to have more conversations about it, you can go to my website, tanyaehood.com. You can follow me on my various social media platforms. If you're on Instagram, I like to see you there. Follow me, share my information to your story so that other people can find me as well. If you're on Facebook, you can join me there in the Red Alerts Diaries page. And I also have a Facebook group called Living in Authenticity, where I have some conversations and just give some other different points. I don't always talk about this there, but we have authentic discussions and I prepare some information because there's a challenge that I host every November that walks into that. And that is when that room really comes alive. So I invite you to join me on the journey. And thank you. I'm so glad that this was helpful. Let me walk through the last couple of pieces. I'm gonna put the links inside of the chat box. And I want to thank you for being here because staying to the end, you get other bonuses. So let's see what that is. Let me share my screen and let's walk through this. So you're already aware that this is a 5-week course where I can pour into you deeper insights, your personalized, unique assessment. It is already available on sale on my website, but you have the webinar special from the link that's in the chat box. So for you that are on YouTube, you have got to join us in the future on Zoom. That's where the magic happens for the bonuses. And you get the opportunity as an added bonus for staying to the very end. Unlimited coaching sessions for me for 1 full year. We get to have quick conversations, 30-minute discussions to pour into you some other things to help you along the way. Be mindful that each coaching session comes with a homework assignment, but we can talk as much as you want for an entire year for this low price. And you have the bonus free chapter. I pray that it blesses you, pour some insight into you. And if you get the book, you can go through the book. It's like a 90-day journey that will help you reset your life, gain more clarity of who you are, more insight about how to be in better relationship with others, and then go into a discussion where you can have a better relationship with a being greater than yourself. For those individuals that know me, you're aware that for me, it is Jesus. And this book was birthed with that insight that comes with a companion guide that takes you deeper into a discussion about how I poured up those core principles to apply to my life and share some of that that's helped me find the core strength sequence to share with you. So I hope that this gets a chance to help you enjoy it. And if you like the paperback, like me, the link that goes inside of the chat box is just for you, that additional bonus that you receive. And with that, if we can come back for any final comments, questions, and thoughts, I thank you all for being here and invite you to follow me in other places so that we can continue to enjoy each other on this journey. Let me put these links in the chat box for you. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that you are here and that you received some quality information. I appreciate it. You all have blessed my soul and let me know that what I'm doing still works. What I'm doing is really needed. And I thank you for that as well. So don't forget, in this chat box, if you go to the little 3 dots, that's an ellipsis, and it will give you the opportunity to download this, to get the links, and use them to get your bonuses. If you don't get the opportunity to get that, you know how to directly email me. I know who is here, and I will send you the information and work with you, making sure that that happens. I thank you for this time today, joining me on this 2-day free webinar. And I look forward to seeing you in the actual course so that you can see your unique assessment, so that you can get the opportunity to gain more insight into others and have that paper trail to support you. But I occasionally talk about this on my podcast, which comes out every Tuesday. And then you can join me for a discussion afterwards on Clubhouse in the Red Alert Diaries room at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That way we can continue the discussion, or we could just start a new one. So if there are any last comments, questions, thoughts, clarification moments before I leave.
I'm glad I was able to attend, and the information that you gave to us was extremely helpful.
So glad about it. Maximize the use of the tools. I'm glad that you were here, and I look forward to seeing you all again on other platforms. This is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same. Take care, everyone.